In my knitting in the round for beginners tutorial, I used the basic join method. This is the easiest way to join, but it doesn't always look the best. You may have a gap at the join, or one side can look longer than the other. If you're having these problems, you can get a neater join using what I call the extra stitch join method. Just follow these 3 simple steps for an almost invisible join. Step 1 is to cast on an extra stitch, one more than your pattern needs. The long tail cast on works great for knitting in the round. I've a 5-minute tutorial on screen now and linked below. Move your stitches close to the tips ready to join to knit in the round. Step 2 is to move your first cast on stitch over to the other needle tip. Put your right needle tip into the first stitch from right to left and slip it on to the right tip. Step 3 is to pass the second stitch on your right tip over this slipped stitch. Put your left tip into the second stitch from left to right and carefully bring it over the first stitch. It may look loose and messy right now, but just tug both your yarn tail and working yarn to tighten things up. And that's it. You've joined to knit in the round by passing the extra stitch you cast on over the very first stitch you cast on. The extra stitch is gone, so now you have the right number of stitches and a neat join with no gap. Mark the beginning of the round and start knitting round 1 of your pattern. Now the join is done, you can just knit away. If your pattern starts with stockinette, simply knit every stitch. I'll knit a few stitches to show you. But most patterns start with rib stitch, so I'll demo with knit 1, purl 1 rib. So you knit the first stitch, purl the second, and repeat that all the way around. So I'm nearly at the end of my first round of rib here, with the yarn tail between the last 2 stitches. And when I get to the last purl stitch, the tail is hanging loose over the front. It looks a bit iffy, but just tug on it to tighten things up. I like to hold the tail down with my thumb as I purl the last stitch. Now I'm back at the stitch marker and round 1 is done. You may need to tug your yarn tail again, but you should have a nice neat join with no gap. Now I just start knitting round 2 of rib as usual, knitting the first stitch, purling the second, and so on. And already you can see how neat this join looks, with a smooth continuous line across the bottom. Let's look at some samples to compare how the 2 join methods really look. First up, stockinette. Here's a close-up of the extra stitch join, with a straight continuous line across. You can still see the little slip knot you start with, but otherwise it's a lovely neat join. Whereas the basic join looks more obvious before weaving in the end. There's a small gap at the join and a very slight ladder between the first and last stitches, but that fixes itself as you knit more rounds. Here they are side by side, with the extra stitch join on the left and the basic join on the right. Moving on to my rib sample, while my rib stitch looks a bit messy in this chunky yarn, the extra stitch join looks really neat. You still see the little slip knot if you look closely, but it's pretty much an invisible join. Yay! But the basic join works well for ribbing too. There's a slight difference in height both sides of the join. The knitting on the left side looks a little longer, but it's subtle in this thicker yarn. Here's a side-by-side comparison with the extra stitch join on the left and the basic join on the right. The basic join method can look more obvious with a bigger height difference depending on the pattern and yarn, like in my free DK ribbed hat pattern, but using the extra stitch join looks almost invisible for a super neat finish. So give the extra stitch join a go for your next project and see how you like it. Got any questions? Just comment below. Thanks for watching.